Down 2 runs in the ninth inning to the St. Louis Cardinals on the road in Game 1 of the 2022 National League wildcard round, the Philadelphia Phillies looked dead in the water. Jose Quintana, a deadline addition for the Cards, went 5 1/3 scoreless before handing the ball over to Jordan Hicks and Giovanni Gallegos, who combined for 2 more scoreless innings. Entering the ninth, the Phillies had just 2 hits, and St. Louis turned to the guy they've trusted all year to close the door, Ryan Helsley. Helsley was an all-star that year, collecting 19 saves and owning a minuscule 1.25 ERA in 64 2/3 innings. Surely he shut down the Phils and put them on the ropes, leading them 1-0 in a best-of-3 series where all 3 games would be held in St. Louis. Well, we'll see about that. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Cole from Philadelphia Media, and today we'll be getting into one of the greatest innings in baseball history and how it sparked the Phillies' 2022 postseason run that ended in a World Series appearance. We'll be discussing the background behind these 2 teams and how they got there, as well as how everything affects something. You'll see what I mean by that last point as the video goes on. If at any point you enjoy what you're watching, do me a favor and leave a like. If you have anything to say, feel free to leave a comment. As always, you can do both of us a favor by subscribing to the channel to let me know I'm doing something right and to make sure you never miss an upload. Now, onto the video. The 2022 postseason was going to be different from ones before it, and the reason was because of the format. From 1903 to 1968, the postseason consisted of just one series, the World Series, and that was a 7-game series held between the best team from the American League and the National League in the regular season. From 1969 to 1993, we seemingly had a flawless system. 2 divisions in each league, called East and West. The regular season winners of each division made the playoffs and played each other, with the 2 winning teams advancing to the World Series. But there's a reason why this ended after the 1993 season. The Atlanta Braves had the most wins in all of baseball with 104. They won their division and made the postseason, but the team who finished behind them in the division was the San Francisco Giants, who won 103 games, which was good for second most in all of baseball. But because the Giants didn't win a division, they didn't even make the playoffs. A Central Division was added to both leagues, allowing for 3 division winners and a wild card to make the playoffs each season, and it stayed that way until 2012, when the wild card round was introduced, a 1-game playoff series between the 2 best teams in each league that didn't win their division. This format provided some thrills, but ultimately MLB decided that baseball wasn't meant to be played in a 1-game winner-take-all format. And that's where 2022 comes along. Another wild card would be added in each league, making a total of 6 playoff teams in each league, with the 2 best division winners receiving a bye, the 3rd division winner hosting the last wild card for a 3-game series, and the numbers 1 and 2 wild cards doing the same. That brings us to the Phillies vs. Cardinals, a 3-game wild card series where all 3 games, if necessary, would be held in St. Louis. But we're not there just yet. The addition of the 3rd wild card created hopeful fans out of supporters of teams who had just barely not been good enough in recent years. The Phillies were one of them, known for their late-season collapses over the past few years, and they were looking to right the ship. Entering 2022, the Phillies held the longest playoff drought in the National League, with 10 straight seasons without a playoff appearance. That offseason, they added Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos to their already strong core of reigning MVP Bryce Harper, last year's Cy Young runner-up Zach Wheeler, as well as Aaron Nola, Rhys Hoskins, JT Realmuto, Gene Segura, and more. But things didn't go as planned, and a 22-29 start to the season was enough to fire manager Joe Girardi. Bench coach Rob Thompson was promoted, and the Phillies ripped off 9 straight wins, going 65-46 the rest of the way, enough to earn them a wildcard berth. They made it in as the last wildcard, the 3rd one, the one that was new this year. For that, they'd play the division winner with the worst record. Well, the 2022 Dodgers were one of the greatest regular season teams we've ever seen, winning 111 games and running away with the number 1 seed in the NL. The Braves and Mets tied for the NL East title, with each team having a record of 101-61. In previous seasons, we would have seen these teams square off in Game 163. Game 163 was a term for when 2 teams were tied for a certain seed at the end of the season, and instead of playing the usual 162 games in a season, they'd play 1 extra to figure things out. The only issue with that is prior to the season, MLB announced with these playoff changes, Game 163 scenarios would no longer exist. They just decide these things based on tiebreakers, and that gave the defending champion Braves the division crown and left the Mets with a wild card spot despite reaching triple-digit wins. Just another wrinkle to the new playoff format. So that leaves the St. Louis Cardinals, the NL Central champs, as the least winningest division champ. and 93 wins, the Cards won the Central by 7 games over the Brewers. The Brewers nearly captured that last wildcard spot, but the Phillies finished with one more than them, a difference that could have been covered by Milwaukee had they had a dominant closer in the back of the bullpen. Sure, they had Devin Williams, but they no longer had that lethal 1-2 punch of Williams and Josh Hader. At the trade deadline, the Brewers, who were still firmly in contention for a playoff spot, sent Josh Hader west to the San Diego Padres, the last piece of our National League playoff puzzle, as they were the second wildcard team. A now 5-time All-Star, Hader hadn't allowed a single run all season until his June 7th meeting with the Phillies, where Matt Vierling and Alec Boehm each blasted long balls, ending his scoreless streak. Hader fell apart from then on, and the Brew Crew sold him at the deadline. Also at the deadline, the Phillies made a move that would prove to be crucial to them. Showcasing his carelessness for top prospects, which Dave Dombrowski has made himself famous for, the Phillies dealt their 5th best prospect, catcher Logan O'Hoppe, to the Angels in exchange for a center fielder known as Brandon Marsh. Marsh wasn't too well known at the time, as he was batting .226 with a .637 OPS, but now as a member of the Phillies, he's become one of the better center fielders in baseball. So back to that wild card game, where the Cardinals looked like a powerhouse, with that season's MVP, Paul Goldschmidt, and a generational third baseman, Nolan Arenado, manning the corners of the infield, lesser names who became huge contributors, such as Brendan Donovan, Tommy Edman, Nolan Gorman, and Lars Nootbaar, as well as a strong rotation, now led by deadline addition Jose Quintana, who had a 2.01 ERA since joining the Cardinals, and he would get the ball for Game 1. Opposite him was Zach Wheeler, who had a sub-3 ERA for a third straight season, turning in a 2.82 that year. Quintana and Wheeler dueled, as both turned in wonderful performances. Quintana went 5 1/3 scoreless, allowing just 2 hits, while Wheeler went 6 1/3 scoreless, allowing just 2 hits. Jose Alvarado relieved Wheeler of his duties and quickly surrendered a 2-run home run to pinch hitter Juan Yepes to break the scoreless tie. Fortunately for the Phillies, that's all they'd allow prior to the 9th, but the Cardinals' bullpen was shut down in relief of Quintana, as I alluded to earlier, and St. Louis manager Ali Marmol turned to his reliable closer, Ryan Helsley, in the bottom of the 8th, where he threw 10 pitches and got 2 outs. They turned to him yet again in the 9th, and that's when things began to unravel. After retiring Rhys Hoskins, Helsley allowed a single to JT Realmuto and then walked both Bryce Harper and Nick Castellanos, loading the bases for 26-year-old Alec Boehm. Boehm had quite the 2022 season, as his poor defensive efforts earned him plenty of booing from the Philadelphia faithful. Then, of course, after committing an error, he was seen on the broadcast telling a teammate what his feelings were towards the city. He looked like he was going to be on the next flight out of town until his post-game press conference, where he owned it.
Yeah, I've heard. Look, emotions got the best of me. I said it. And do I mean it? No. And it's a frustrating night for me, obviously. Made a few mistakes in the field. And look, these people, these fans, they just want to win. I guess I'm sorry for them. I don't mean that. And emotion just got the best of me.
The city respected him for it and has been in his corner ever since. As if that wasn't enough, how about taking a 101 heater to the elbow in this situation to get the Phillies on the board? Rob Thompson chose to utilize Edmundo Sosa as a pinch runner for Alec Boehm, as he'd come on as a defensive replacement, a move Thompson employed often. Gene Segura stood at the plate in his first ever postseason game. Segura had just ended his reign for the longest playoff drought by an active player, after playing over 1,300 games across 11 years and never making the playoffs. He gets his chance to make history here, and that's exactly what he does. This play isn't routine, but it was not an insanely hard play to make. It was a play that you definitely expect 2021 Gold Glove winner Tommy Edman to be able to corral. It could have potentially been a game-ending double play, and the Cardinals would lead the series 1-0, giving them 2 chances at home to put the Phillies away. Instead, the ball sneaks under Edman's glove, 2-run score, and the Phillies take an improbable lead. Yahoo! Rookie Bryson Stott comes up next and drills one right at Paul Goldschmidt, who snares it and fires it home, but not in time to get pinch running Edmundo Sosa. Had Thompson kept Boehm out there, who knows what would have happened? Sosa is quicker, and Boehm likely would have been chopped down to the plate. Instead, the Phillies extend their lead, and the Cardinals don't even record an out on that play. Then comes trade deadline addition Brandon Marsh, who hits a bouncer to third baseman Nolan Arenado. Arenado entered the league in 2013, and since then, he's won the National League Gold Glove for third base every single year. He's a 10-time Gold Glove Award winner and a 6-time Platinum Glove Award winner, the award given to the best overall defender in baseball. So, you'd expect him to make this play in this situation pretty routinely. Luckily for the Phillies, he does not. Segura scores from second and Stott goes from first to third. Kyle Schwarber then hits a fly ball deep enough to score Bryson Stott from third, and that caps off a 6-run ninth inning for the Phillies. This inning changed the entire trajectory for two franchises. What came out of it is the springboard to an eventual Phillies World Series run, where they represented the National League, but unfortunately fell to the Houston Astros. As for the Cardinals, they currently sit in last place in the NL Central and are the second worst team in the NL, with a record of 49-65, a terribly disappointing season that nobody saw coming. The Phillies are second in the NL East with a 63-52 record and currently hold the second wild card. They also just threw a no-hitter as I'm recording this. Had things gone differently in this game, the Cardinals may have gotten hot and gone on a run. The Phillies would have been satisfied with their first postseason berth since 2011 and might have just been complacent, not signing Trey Turner to a mega contract this offseason. It's slight things that change the course of a franchise's entire future. That does it for this one. Thank you for watching, and as always, if you made it this far, leave a like to let me know you enjoyed the video. Also, feel free to comment your thoughts, opinions, or whatever you want. Lastly, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be sure to never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.